Millions of plastic water bottles are purchased every day. This makes sense due to the fact that water is something that our bodies need to survive. And it can be conveniently bought at the nearest store or gas station when a sudden urge of thirst kicks in. After you're done with it, do you ever think about where it goes? Well, this is where it goes. This is a mountain of plastic water bottles in a landfill. Although bottled water is idealized as the best choice for a quick, healthy refreshment, if you dig deeper, you will realize that it does not live up to this perception. The bottles bring with them many issues, from littering the earth to raising health concerns. Plastic water bottles have a negative effect on the environment and people's well-being. For this reason, they should be banned in the United States. Out of the approximate 50 billion plastic water bottles used every year, 38 billion of these are not recycled. The authors of The Unintended Consequences of Changes in Beverage Options and the Removal of Bottled Water on a University Campus say. A statistic provided by Amy Livingston, the author of Bottled Water versus Tap Water, states more than 1 out of every 6 plastic bottles sold in the U.S. is bottled water. All of those unrecycled water bottles end up in landfills and the ocean. Overflowing landfills are commonly known as the place that the world's waste ends up, but no one ever goes into detail on why they are bad for the environment. A major issue is that they take up acres of land that have once been inhabited by local animals. An estimated 560,000 acres of U.S. is filled with trash, according to Rich Truspeck, the author of Talking Trash. This statistic is from 2008, so by now, 10 years later, it's probably much higher. The pollution in the oceans is also just as bad. Along with waste concerns, there is also the issue of global warming. It takes billions of gallons of oil to produce plastic water bottles, therefore greenhouse gases are being released into the air constantly. We are already seeing the results of global warming, from the melting ice caps to the extreme highs and lows in temperature. Now let's discuss the health risks. Although bottled water seems harmless and like a good source for hydration, it actually has many safety concerns attributed to it, one of which is the chemical called bisphenol A, commonly referred to as BPA. BPA is a plastic contaminant used to make plastic water bottles that can migrate into the water filling the bottles, explains the authors of Migration of Plasticizers. It is defined as an endocrine disruptor compound, or EDC. According to the article, Endocrine Disruptors, an EDC is a chemical that may interfere with the body's endocrine system and produce adverse developmental, reproductive, and neurological and immune effects in both humans and wildlife. Scientists are worried about the effects of long-term exposure to BPA. Another concern is that bottled water is regulated by the FDA. Legally, water bottle companies are allowed to sell you contaminated water. Livington explains if a bottler fails to meet the federal safety standards, it can still sell the water. All it has to do is put a statement on the label such as contains excessive bacteria or excessively radioactive. People are not expecting this, so they rarely check the labels. Aside from the environmental and health concerns, there are also some issues with the ethics behind plastic water bottle companies. What goes on behind the scenes of the water bottle industry has been proven to be highly unethical. For instance, brands do not care about the community surrounding the source of their water. According to Should Bottled Water Be Banned, when the residents of Flint, Michigan were exposed to contaminated water, Nestle, a popular brand of water bottles, sourced its water from the state's reserves. While the citizens in Flint were drinking lead-poisoned water, Nestle was using clean water that the state could have supplied to Flint. Another example is when California was under severe drought. The author of Should Bottled Water Be Banned reports, Nestle, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo continued to bottle and export water from public lands and municipal supplies. During this time, wildfires were sprawled across California, and water use had to be reduced by all residents. Californians had to limit the use of their water to only necessary occasions, while the brands stated above were pumping out water with no care in the world. The ban on plastic water bottles would bring with it numerous positive effects. The waste contributed to plastic water bottles would be drastically reduced. Fewer plastic bottles will end up littering the ocean and filling up landfills. The amount of greenhouse gases being emitted will also get cut down. Along with environmental factors, health concerns regarding contamination and BPA intake will be lowered. The ban on plastic water bottles is the first major step towards an eco-friendly future for the United States.